What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, Matt Patricia in his tenure with the Detroit Lions loves to bring in tight ends. In his first offseason, he brought in Jesse James, he brought in Logan Thomas, he brought in, in the drafts, he brought in TJ Hawkinson, he brought in Isaac Nauta. This past draft in UDFA, he brought in Hunter Bryant. He brought in Levine Toilolo a couple years ago, Logan Wilson. There has been a lot of tight end rotation since Matt Patricia's taken over the head coaching job, and there was almost another. Right before the 2018 draft occurred, the Detroit Lions almost made a blockbuster trade with the New England Patriots to acquire Rob Gronkowski. Yes, that Rob Gronkowski from the New England Patriots, the monster of a tight end, future Hall of Famer, absolutely, all pro, is probably going to make it to the Hall of Fame one day. That guy was almost a Detroit Lion. However, for very unfortunate reasons, Rob Gronkowski did not want to come to Detroit and play with anybody else but Matthew Stafford. So my question today is, what if Rob Gronkowski was okay with the trade? What if he decided to come to Detroit, give it his all, play like he was playing with Tom Brady? Playing with Matthew Stafford obviously is different. But what if he was okay to play without Tom Brady? What if he was okay with moving to Detroit, playing with Matthew Stafford? What would have happened? How would this have affected the Lions in the short term and the long term effects? Because, we would have had to give up a lot for him. And, how would this roster look right now if we had ended up trading for Rob Gronkowski?
But I did have a career-altering trade, almost a career-altering trade, and it was about 2 years ago. I was actually traded to the Detroit Lions, and I called up, and I got the phone call, and I was contemplating if I should retire or not about 2 years ago, and I was like, you just traded me to the Lions? I go, oh, I'm retired. I don't know how that trade can go through, and then 2 days later, the trade never went through.
Can you believe that?
Just to set the stage, just to kind of show you the scenario that we're working with. Before the 2018 NFL draft, the Detroit Lions and the New England Patriots were in trade talks over tight end Rob Gronkowski. Now, it was said that the Detroit Lions had agreed to give up a first-round pick, which was the 20th overall pick, and our second-round pick, which was pick 51, to acquire Rob Gronkowski and the New England Patriots second-round pick, which was pick 43. Now, pick 20 turned into Frank Ragnow, the fantastic center, best center in the NFC North right now, fantastic young center for the Detroit Lions, and really the centerpiece of that offensive line. And that 51st pick was traded up with the New England Patriots to acquire the 43rd pick anyway, and that pick was obviously Kerryon Johnson. Now, if we had obviously traded those picks away to acquire Rob Gronkowski, we would not have been able to pick up Frank Ragnow. I still believe that Kerryon Johnson, we still pick him up at the 43rd pick. We just don't got to trade up. We maybe get an extra pick, or maybe we trade that away to trade up for somebody else, or we trade back for future picks. Who knows? But, we still get Kerryon Johnson, and really the only thing we lose out of this draft is Frank Ragnow. Now, obviously, I say only as if that's not a big deal. Frank Ragnow is the centerpiece of this offensive line right now. He is the leader. He is the guy on the offensive line that everybody looks to. He is the best player on that offensive line, and losing him would be a huge blow to the Detroit Lions. But I really don't see, in this draft class, I really don't see a guy that you replace from this draft class, because everybody on this draft class pretty much has contributed to the Detroit Lions in, either a huge role or at least a, somewhat of a role. And I don't see any pick where you can replace it with an offensive lineman that, is going to contribute more than the guys that we drafted do. So I think that draft stays the same without. I think after Kerryon Johnson, we still pick him at the 43rd. We still have all the other picks left. And I think the draft turns out very similarly to how it turned out in the actual 2018 draft. However, we do acquire Rob Gronkowski, obviously, as I said. Rob Gronkowski in real life did not want to come to Detroit. He did not want to play without Tom Brady. So for this video, if I haven't said so already, we are just going to assume that he's okay playing in Detroit. He's like, all right, I love Brady, but Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback. I'm going to come to Detroit and give it my best. Now, in the 2018 season, Rob Gronkowski had quite a down year, even though he was still playing with the New England Patriots. Rob Gronkowski played in 13 games, had 72 targets, 47 receptions, 682 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The Detroit Lions tight ends as a whole in 2018 had 66 targets, 45 receptions, 461 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And 3 of those touchdowns came from Michael Roberts, who we then released later that season, or that following offseason, something like that. So, yes, Rob Gronkowski would have made a difference in the tight end room. He obviously would have been the best one. We would have had more production out of our tight end groups. However, even a down year from Rob Gronkowski was better than our entire tight end room in 2018, but I still don't think this trade should have gone through. In my opinion, I really, doing this trade, really would have hurt the Lions in the long run, as we'll see. But I mean, Rob Gronkowski really saved the Detroit Lions from making a huge mistake. Now, obviously, if the Detroit Lions do not get Frank Ragnow in the 2018 NFL Draft, the offensive line looks quite a bit different. In 2018, the offensive line was Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow at right guard, Graham Glasgow at center, TJ Lang at right guard, and Rick Wagner at right tackle. However, without the addition of Frank Ragnow, obviously, the offensive line looks much different. We start Taylor Decker at left tackle, Kenny Wiggins at left guard, Graham Glasgow at center, TJ Lang at right guard, and Rick Wagner at right tackle. Now, TJ Lang did end up getting hurt early in the season. I believe he played in 6 games in 2018. So, I mean, we really didn't have a whole lot of depth behind TJ Lang. So this offensive line would have been so much weaker and so much worse without Frank Ragnow. However, Rob Gronkowski was a very good blocking tight end also, so I think he would have helped in the blocking department. But the offensive line as a unit would have looked much weaker without Frank Ragnow. Getting in, he has a down year in 2018, okay. But after 2018, Rob Gronkowski retires. He retired from the Patriots. This was right after they lost the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles. And, I mean, he gave up. He was like, all right, I'm done. I had a great career, won a couple Super Bowls, was an all-pro. We'll make it to the Hall of Fame one day. I had a great career. I'm going to retire and just, enjoy the rest of my life. Obviously, as we know in real life, that didn't end up happening. But if he did that playing with the Patriots, he's definitely going to do that playing with the Lions, who aren't really Super Bowl contenders, aren't, in that window really weren't playoff contenders, and, he's still going to retire. So we gave up a first-round pick and a second-round pick. We gave up our best offensive lineman. Obviously, we know this in hindsight, but we gave up a first-round pick and a second-round pick who turns into our starting running back and our starting center for 72 catches, or 47 receptions, 682 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's what we gave up a first and a second round pick to do. I mean, that is a horrible trade. That is ridiculous. That is so bad. And then in the 2019 offseason, we still do the same thing because we have the same needs. We just have a bigger one at offensive line. The draft literally doesn't change. I don't see a pick that we trade out, or I could trade one player for another. You could say TJ Hockenson at the top, but then we still have a huge gap at tight end because Rob Gronkowski just retired, and we need another big tight end that can get the job done. And I still think we pick TJ Hockenson because in the top 10, there really wasn't a good offensive lineman that was warranted or that deserved a top 10 pick. There was no offensive lineman that, a top 10 pick was worth spending on them. So I don't think we pick one in the top 10. Maybe we trade down, but that's a hard maybe because I feel like Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were really in on TJ Hockenson. They really liked him. They really thought he was the next Gronkowski, and obviously he still could be. We have to see next season how he progresses in year 2, and he might be that next Rob Gronkowski. His rookie year, not so much, but we trade this first round pick, this second round pick to acquire the great Rob Gronkowski. He puts up, okay numbers, better than what our tight ends did, but still not elite. Doesn't really change the roster, doesn't really transform and put this team into the playoffs or anything. And, then he retires anyway, and we pick up TJ Hockenson. The draft stays exactly the same as it was. And, literally, this only hurts the Lions in the long run. The only thing that changes is we don't have Frank Ragnow. And without Frank Ragnow, this offensive line going into the 2020 season is atrocious. I mean, you have Taylor Decker, who's a bona fide starter, and that's it. I mean, you have Jonah Jackson and Logan Stenberg, who could be contributors at the guard positions. You have Big V, who's probably going to start right tackle, but has not played before. Maybe you don't let go of Graham Glasgow, but then he's still playing center, and your right guards the Lions are in the same position, if not a worse position than they are in real life right now. If this trade had gone through, it would have been a catastrophe for the Detroit Lions. It really would have only hurt the Lions. I mean, Rob Gronkowski in his final year, as I said, didn't put up great stats, and then if he retires, we just lose Frank Ragnow basically to this trade, and we get Rob Gronkowski for a whole year in his last year where he wasn't even the same Rob Gronkowski. So, I think that this was if this had happened, this would have just been a catastrophe for the Detroit Lions. So, Rob Gronkowski, if you are watching this, I know you're not, but if you are, thank you so much for not coming to the Detroit Lions. Thank you so much for telling everybody, if I'm traded to the Detroit Lions, I'm retiring because we didn't need you and it was better for us in the long run anyway. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. That is the best thing you could have done for the Detroit Lions. I'm so very appreciative that you did not want to come to Detroit because, it just wouldn't have ended well for the Detroit Lions at all. So that's what I think would have happened if we traded for Rob Gronkowski. As I said, nothing really changes other than maybe our tight end puts up a little bit more production in the 2018 season, but the drafts stay there very much the same. I went through each draft and I really didn't see a spot where a good offensive lineman, a center or a guard was available that we could swap out with a player that we did pick, and he'd still be a huge contributor like that certain player did. So I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020 and we know now, but I can't go back and just forget what all these players have done for the Lions. I can't go back and just forget that Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn draft the guys that they like at the position. So I just don't see, I couldn't find a position where they pull out, you say Tracy Walker in the 3rd round or, Deshaun Hand in the 4th round to pick up an offensive lineman that probably wouldn't have started anyway. I just don't see that scenario happening. So in my opinion, it just would have ended worse for the Detroit Lions than what actually happened in real life, and I'm so glad this did not happen. If you disagree, if you actually think that Rob Gronkowski would have changed this team completely, if you think he turns us into a playoff contender or something like that, obviously let me know down in the comments below. What do you think would have happened if we traded for Rob Gronkowski? Just, in my opinion, it wouldn't have changed a whole lot, and it really would have just hurt the Detroit Lions. So, with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Obviously a fun topic to research. Thank you for the suggestion. Whoever did suggest it, thank you for the suggestion. If you have more what if comments down, if you have more suggestions for what if scenarios, leave those down in the comments below. But with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. If you are new to the channel and are enjoying the content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It takes 2 seconds out of your day to make mine, and I would be very, very appreciative. But with that being said, as I said, that is all I have for you guys today. If there is more Lions news for tomorrow, I'll obviously make a video letting everybody know. But until then, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching this video, and I will see all of you in the what if tomorrow. Bye, guys.